I'm Monica.
I'm Susan.
We're with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
Two chicks with hiking sticks.
That's right. That's right.
And
how did you do that?
It's two chicks with hiking sticks.
Okay.
I can't cross my fingers; they're fat.
You know what looks better than that?
What?
This, our merch. This, yeah. We're gonna drop. It's in the description of our YouTube channel, and then we're gonna drop a link in here too somewhere.
Yes.
Here.
Because while I'm not wearing a two chicks,
you need to leave now. Give me the computer.
I've lost my two chicks card.
Yeah. No status.
You're gonna be chickless.
Okay.
Like a chicklet.
Tell us what we do.
Well, so we are two chicks with hiking sticks, and we cover the historical, natural, and cultural world around us.
That's right.
So that could be anything, anywhere. I mean, we're game here.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Like, if you have places you want us to cover, drop it in our comments.
Drop it in the comments, because we're not all about hiking. We love hiking, and we're going to try to point out any hike that you can do about any place that we talk about. But really, you don't have to like everything, but watch and then decide if you don't like. But I mean, historical, not always my gig. Cultural, I like a lot. Mm-hmm. And of course, natural.
Absolutely.
That's all the outdoor part, and I love that part.
Well, because I like to think of the hiking sticks as being part of the exploration, right? So
Exactly.
whether it's a formal hike or you're walking about town, whatever.
Exactly.
It's exploring. This is what we do. We have time to explore, so we're sharing that with you.
Yeah, that's right.
So, on today's agenda, I thought it would be important to cover something historical.
Yeah.
So, today, I thought it would be really cool to talk about Fort Scott National Historic Site. You familiar with that at all, Monica? Well,
I looked it up. I try not to get too into the nitty-gritty until I start to write the blog post.
Yes.
But I do a little bit of looking so that I don't come off looking like a total idiot when you're talking about things.
Just partial.
But I am a partial idiot, yes. So, yes, I went in, I looked at it, and I read a little bit about it, and I thought, looks like Fort Davis. So, okay.
Well, and I like to, usually whenever I'm trying to pick a place that we're going to cover, I like to, pick places, hopefully, that I've been to. And Fort Scott is a place that I have been to. And I went back in 2021 when I first retired. It was like one of the first segments of places that I went to. And I'll be honest, I had never heard of it up to that point.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, so I learned something. So now we're going to share that with you. So it is a National Historic Site, and I think the thing that is, like you said, it is a lot like Fort Davis, but the purpose of it was different than Fort Davis.
Okay.
So you might recall a prior episode where we talked about Fort Davis National Historic Site. Yes, it's a National Historic Site, slightly different than the purpose of what this one was. This one has ties to pre-Civil War, to the Civil War, to the after the Civil War. Certainly has ties with the indigenous folks, and so we're going to kind of cover some of that.
Okay.
So, they do talk about this place as being one, because it seems like every place we go to, they say it's one of the most preserved blah, blah, blahs, right? Well, I have to say that if I compare this one to Fort Davis, it does have probably more buildings that have been preserved.
Okay.
There are 11 original buildings and 9 restored buildings.
Okay.
Or rebuilt buildings, I guess. And it is located kind of between Kansas and Missouri, right between there. So it's like kind of on the border. And so it's really a neat place in terms of they have all these buildings that have been built or original that have been restored. They have the place where the horses were. They have all of that. And there is a huge parade ground. So you might recall even with Fort Davis, there's always a huge parade ground when we talk about some of these, forts and stuff.
Right.
Now, the significance of this place, which I'm sure anyhow. The significance of this place was way back in 1842 when it was built. It became what they called the permanent Indian frontier? I think it was permanent Indian frontier. And what that was our expansion in the east, that was the line that everything to the west would be left to the indigenous folks.
Okay.
So we being America, had forts up and down this kind of line, so to speak, right? That said, everything on the east side is American, and we're going to protect everything on the west side and say the indigenous folks can have their land. Which is really exciting and really cool that we could see that.
Right.
Like we were taking over people's land, so hey, how about we stop?
Right.
Yeah, that lasted until we decided we wanted something else.
I was about to say, how long did that last?
Yeah.
A year?
And actually, it took a little bit.
2 years?
No, more than that. So
Okay.
maybe 10 years.
Okay. We tried.
I don't know. But there were clashes there were clashes. Like, the purpose of the fort was to keep the white man out of the native land's land.
Right.
The native man's land. So there were clashes, like armed things happening to keep people from crossing those lines. That was the purpose of the fort. is that
Okay,
you couldn't go across. But as manifest destiny happens, we decided we really wanted to go west, and we were like, we don't really need to have that permanent Indian frontier.
Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of broke that down.
I'm not surprised.
I was kind of disheartened.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But it's a really pretty parade.
But here's the thing. It wasn't just us. You know, I'm segging a little bit here. I had a conversation with my brother, and we were talking about, he watched the episode of Akama, and he really enjoyed it. And he said, don't you feel kind of convoluted about what the Spaniards did, considering that we did one of those ancestry DNA things, and it turns out I'm like about 50% Spanish. And he was like, don't you feel kind of convoluted, you know, your history and everything? I'm like, no, because they were still assholes. I'm sorry. Yeah, still assholes. You know, so it wasn't just us.
I know.
You know, the Spaniards are coming in, the French were coming in, everybody's coming in, and they're like, oh, you're here? Move.
We're bigger and better than you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So,
yeah, so the peaceful, loving Native Americans that were just trying to live their lives and do their thing, we were like, yeah, no, we want that land.
yeah.
Which, I mean, I get it, because I have Spanish in me too, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, on another hand, it's history.
It is history,
And
this
that's
is why we
just,
talk about
it's the way it went. And we can like it or not like it, but it's done and over with, and it's part of what got us where we are today.
Well, and it's, to me, I look at it as, how do we do better and not repeat some of those
Right,
things?
exactly.
And while we've tried to make amends and reparations and try to make things right, it's never going to be fully right, but it doesn't stop us from trying.
Right. Yeah, and you can't erase any of that.
No.
I mean, it's happened. It's done. Does it put us in a bad light? Sure.
Sure.
Puts everybody in a bad light.
It does.
Yeah, Spaniards, French, everybody's in a bad light, you know?
Ain't nobody not impacted by it. But yeah, so indigenous folks, and then we built this line of forts up and down, separating the American side with the Native American side. And it stands there for a good, relative in time, it's still a good bit. The Civil War comes, and what was interesting about the Civil War is that this place was also used, of course, in the Civil War as kind of like a supply area, training area. And it's actually considered, because this is Kansas, it's considered Union, so it's considered North.
Okay.
It was the most southern North state
I was
at the
going to
time.
say, Kansas is not that far north.
It's not.
Okay.
But it's interesting. I'm sure they think of themselves as, I guess, northern. I don't know. But this is where the Bleeding Kansas, if you've ever heard about Bleeding Kansas, that's where the conflicts were happening within Kansas about people that were pro-slavery and people that were anti-slavery were clashing all the time, and there was a lot of fighting going on, and it was kind of, again, another precursor to the Civil War.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I found that interesting when it said Bleeding Kansas. I was like, what is that? I knew nothing about it. I was like, okay, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because you think about here, we were trying to preserve Western America that we knew for the indigenous folks, and then we're fighting over who should be enslaved and who shouldn't be enslaved. And then, from there, we actually had one of the first colored regiments come out of the North to actually see fighting, the first ones that saw fighting for the Civil War, for the Union. So there's quite the little history in this
Yeah.
place. And it's, so when you walk around this fort, and it's very spacious. So much like, again, Fort Davis, it's very wide open and lots of buildings and stuff. It's really well laid out. There's some pretty trees in there, and it was fall when I went, so they were colorful trees.
Nice.
And the buildings are nicely redone, and some of them you can kind of go in. And because it was also like a cavalry place, you can go in this place, and I'll put a video in here. You can go in, and they have like all the stalls, and they have like, a fake horse and some people and whatever. But it's really cool because they tried to make it like it was back in the day, so you get a feeling for what it must have looked like at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they spend the time to do that.
Right.
Because it really helps hone in on some of the history of what was taking place at that time. Now, I didn't feel like when I was there that I learned enough about, and maybe this was just my shortcoming, enough about the indigenous folks and trying to protect that land that was westward. There was a lot about, the Civil War aspect of it, because I guess that was a pretty big highlight for them. So.
Okay. Well, that's something that I guess I'll be reading more on, and when I write the blog post, maybe can talk a little bit about it.
Well, it might be kind of important.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, and so, again, if you go up and down kind of that middle part of the United States, and I've just seen this on my travels and stuff, we really have to think about the history of the United States in terms of kind of going back to what you were saying with the Spaniards and the French, and everybody was trying to come in and take land. And you see the scars of where that has happened across the United States.
Sure.
And it's interesting when you try to piece it together, because, again, I always go back to that one park ranger that I had met down at Cane River Creole that said, every park and every place that you go to is really just a chapter in a book. And so you just try to put it with the chapters to understand what has taken place in this space. And so Fort Scott's a quaint little town to go to. They've got hotels, whatever. But it's a small town, and this is a small park. And I want to say maybe they get, 25,000 visitors a year. It's not big.
It's interesting that you mentioned that again about the park ranger that told you that every place is a chapter. At the time, I said I kind of looked at all the parks as like little towns or little cities,
Yes.
sort of. But now that I have been doing this with you for a few months and have kind of been learning against my will and sitting down and, actually reading some history, I think that is a very, it's very apropos, the comparison. Yeah, very much so, yeah.
It is, because...
I've come to appreciate it.
Well, and you'll see that we probably recognize things as part of the National Park Service in clumps of stuff. Like there's a lot of Civil War things. There are a lot of Revolutionary War things. There are a lot of, pick something, right? Which makes sense, but they all kind of cover individual chapters of whatever that part of the history was. And so I look at this one because it was about the permanent Indian frontier, which is why this was built, is to enforce this permanent Indian frontier, that Indians get what's in the West, the Americans take what's in the East, that for try as we might to think that that was the best way to go about it and hopefully hold on to that, it was never going to last, because there's this insatiable thing about people in general, because it's not just Americans, that people just always wanted to take land back in the day.
Right. Well, I guess because even early on, everybody recognized that land is value. There's value in it. Not just because of what you might find there, whether it's oil or diamonds, minerals, whatever. It's just the land itself and the status that comes with it.
Yes.
Which provides the value. So I understand, kind of the land grabs. Kind of understand, sort of.
Sort of, kind of, not, maybe, I don't know.
I can rationalize it there. That, yeah.
Well, so I would just say that if you go and visit this place, because again, they don't get very many visitors, and it's like right kind of on the border of Kansas and Missouri. It's like hop, skip, and a jump. It's just not that far from anything, but it is a small, quaint town. But if you go there, they have a very small, quaint visitor center that you can go in and talk to the wonderful people there, and they'll give you a map of kind of where all the buildings are. And it's very easy to see, because when you walk out that back door, it's basically this big square in front of you that is open, and then you've got, working buildings here. You've got, officers' quarters. Then you've got kind of like the enlisted folks. And then you've got like the horse, I don't know, what do you call it? Horse barracks, horse barn, what's it called? I don't know
You
what it's
got me,
called.
I don't know. Livery stables?
Okay. That sounded fancy. But they have one of those. So it's all kind of laid out in front of you. So it's very well, it's kind of like a little paved walk in a way. It's not hard at all. It's not like, we're at Fort Davis, like we were walking on rocks, dirt. Not quite like that. So, yes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so it's an easy one to go about and learn. They have some really nice interpretive signs that help explain kind of what that building was for, what it was that it did, or here were the officers' quarters, and this is kind of what those look like as well, and what they were, kind of the stuff they had inside them.
Now I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, well. As
So-
my mom would have said, una mentira. A lie. You were going to
That's right, you're going to tell the lights why you forgot. But it is small, so the parking lot isn't big, but again, not many people go, so I would just beg of you to go and learn more about our history.
Is there any hiking? That's what I was going to ask. Is there any hiking in or around that area?
No, because it's right, like, in the city. And again, it's a small city, so I say that kind of, understanding that it's small. There's not a hike per se that's around the actual fort, but you're walking around this fort, and it ain't small because you've
Okay.
got this whole parade ground in the middle, so
Okay.
you're making this big old loop.
And that's what I was going to say, because I know at Fort Davis, if I remember correctly, I think I remember clocking about a mile and a half,
yeah.
maybe.
And there are hikes there because there are things that connect you
Right,
to the
right.
state
But just
park
in
and
the grounds
stuff.
itself.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't recall there actually being a hike per se, but you're going to walk around to all the buildings and stuff to learn more about it and be able to see the parade grounds and just kind of neat stuff. And if you
Ooh.
go in the fall again, you see the color.
Is there a junior ranger thingy there?
I'm sure there is.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think I got one. I
Oh,
wasn't doing
no, now you have to go back.
I don't think I was doing it back then. I was in 21. I was too new to this. But anyhow, so I would recommend getting out there and going to it, learning about the history, understanding what the permanent Indian frontier was, how long we were in it, how long we did it, and then we let it go away because we had manifest destiny and decided the West was ours. I think it's just important to learn that history that we have here in America.
Yes, well, yeah.
I think so. All right.
She thinks so, so
So that's all that matters.
I'm here to back her up.
But it's a chapter in the book of American history. And so while things may be getting changed up in some of the places that we go to learn about our history, I think it's important that we keep keeping the main thing the main
Agreed.
thing.
Agreed.
And so that's kind of what we do. We're not partial one way or another. We're just going to tell it like it is. And
You can't change history.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what kind of light it puts us in. It's what it is.
Yeah.
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 So
Anyhow, so if you enjoyed this content and want to hear more, I hope that you subscribe to us.
give us a thumbs up.
Give us a thumbs up. We're trying to make these shorter, quicker for you to learn a little bit of something and hopefully pique your interest so that you want to go look up for more stuff about this particular area or things like this or places like this. Again, I encourage you going to the nps.gov site and search for Fort Scott National Historic Park or Historic Site and learning about what information they have on there too.
Yep. And share this with your history-loving friends.
Which would not be Monica, but
No,
actually,
but-
I don't
but-
know if I have any friends that
You
are
know what?
history-loving friends.
In November, I had never been. We did an episode on hot springs.
Yes.
And Susan was well versed in hot springs, and I learned about it. And what I got from it was like, there are spas there.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was the part I was trying to get across, but all right.
So I told my friend Leslie, I was like, there's spas over in Hot Springs. It's not just Hot Springs. So we're going to November, doggone it. We're going to go find some spas. So see, I mean, you could share it with a friend, and then you and your friend are like, hey, there's some history there, okay. But there's spas, okay? So
Notice it says spas, not spa and resort. There is no resort.
no, it's not, no, I didn't resort, but yeah, I mean, we're going to go, and there's hiking around the area, so we're going to go have a good time. And I would have never thought about it if I wasn't sitting here learning the history part of it, which, that's all right.
Which is why, go back and look at all our other videos that we have out there because they're little segments of, Americana that we're covering and educating people about. So there you go.
Yeah. And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So
For you and your entertainment.
that's right.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else, Monica.
Me neither.
But be sure to check out the description below if you want any of our merch. And be sure to support us if you like.
Yeah,
Please
we
give
would
us a thumbs
appreciate
up
it.
and subscribe.
All right. Y'all take care.
Until next time,
Hike your own hike.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.